Hi, my name is Allison Gross, and I have the awesome privilege of taking care of our community here at Zapier. And today, really excited to be hanging out with Ben from Cyfe, who's going to chat through some awesome automations to kind of help you collect really valuable information and data on a dashboard for you to use. Anytime you might want to, like 24 hours a day. So hi, Ben, how's it going?
Hi, Allison. Thanks for the intro. Hope everyone's
Yeah.
doing well. Thanks for joining us today.
Absolutely. So before we get going today, just one little housekeeping thing. If you scroll just below Ben and I here in this video, there is a chat room there. And my pal Lindsay, who's hanging out with us all the way from Barcelona, Spain today, is there to answer any questions you might be having. So as Ben and I kind of go through things, feel free to ask those questions that you're having while we're chatting, and Lindsay will be more than happy to take care of them for you. And then after we're done with the session, we'll hang around for as long as we need to and answer any questions, even past the session being over. So feel free to type in ask away there. Okay, housekeeping done. Ben, let's talk about Cyfe. I would love if you would give us just a little introduction to Cyfe for those who might be joining us who could possibly be looking for a dashboard solution. I'd love for you to kind of give us the lowdown on all things Cyfe.
Of course. So yes, again, thanks again for that, Allison. Cyfe, for those who have not used it before, is a fantastic all-in-one tool that you can measure anything, whether you're on the marketing side, the project management side, social media, finance. There's literally an infinite amount of combinations, especially with our partnership with Zapier here, as we'll get into, in that you can set up almost an unlimited or infinite amount of dashboards, whether you're interested in analyzing your social media accounts, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, Pinterest, etc. If you're more interested in seeing your web traffic or your conversions from Google, Bing, and Yahoo, we allow you to organize this data cleanly, easily. You see it all on one screen from a multitude of sources, and allow for easy collaboration with your colleagues and clients, scheduled reporting, just a lot of different things. You can see some of the examples we've built at Cyfe.com and scrolling down to the examples for some inspiration and ideas of ways you can set up your dashboard. And it's free to create an account. If you haven't played it before, definitely check us out, sign up, completely free, and you can start playing around. But in a minute here, we'll kind of go through some examples of how you can bring in data for a custom integrations where we don't have everything in the world, but Zapier has pretty much everything in the world we'd like to do. So this session will really kind of give you guys an overview on how to bring in what we don't have. You can plug in data from 500 plus sources here between us and them. So it's really fantastic.
Yeah, it's kind of scary to think how many integrations are truly actually possible with all this. So I will just we'll just kick right into it here. I'm going to share my screen so we can kind of share some of these goodies here with you. And let's see, let's do that. There we go. Okay, so first things first, Ben, let's talk about Cyfe itself. And you said something really interesting in there that piqued even my interest. Would you recommend, so what we're looking at, I'll take a step back here. What we're looking at is all the sort of widgets and data that, is a snapshot of things that are important to me. But you said something really interesting there about setting up different dashboards for different things. Do you see a lot of that? Like, would you recommend setting up dashboards for separate dashboards for like your social media, maybe your website data, things like that? Or do you kind of see people use it more as a really sort of larger overall picture?
A bit of both. So to be generic and drill down to the specifics, what we have here is, an example of something you can track. We tend to think 5 to 10 widgets. Each of these boxes we call a widget per screen is, pretty adequate. As you see, as everyone sees in the Allison's important data, what you can do in our premium plan is create multiple dashboards with an unlimited amount of widgets. And so if you're a small business, you could have one screen be for finance, cash flow, more banking, another screen for social media only, another screen for project management, another screen for analytics and marketing. So we've had customers that manage multiple clients, and what they tend to do is they have client one on one dashboard here, client two on a different dashboard, and client three on a third. And we have others that, you know, are like the use case I just described. You have the screens sorted by the kind of types of key performance indicators you're trying to track. So great question, Allison. And we see, like you said, here a bit of both.
Yeah, this dashboard is, for me, is kind of a mashup of a couple of things. One, these line graphs that we're looking at here are actually widgets made by Zapier that we're going to kind of walk through here today. But I've also added a couple of others, and things that are important to me. So Open Slide Explorer from Moz, we get data about our website, how many backlinks we have, that kind of thing. This is really fun for us. So I've got a teammate in Thailand, and I can never keep track of what time it is in Thailand. So this is a perfect way to do that. So any sort of like housekeeping type thing you might need to keep together on a dashboard. The client thing would be really interesting. If you've got clients in different time zones, you could easily have a dashboard for each and keep their time, their local time there. This is another Zapier creative widget, but and it help desk tickets. So if you wanted to keep a running tally of how many help desk tickets you get a day, that's really, really helpful. And then even got social down here. So any Twitter mentions of Zapier, we've got that as well. So these are things that would be important to me, and I really like the idea of setting up multiple dashboards for just about anything that Ben talked about there.
Yeah.
But what we'll do here is we'll kind of go through a couple of examples of widgets that you can set up from Zapier. We're going to go through things like forms and CRMs and task management. So again, any questions that you have, pop them in the chat room as Ben and I are kind of talking through things here. So Ben, the first thing that I would love to tackle is form data, and forms are so powerful and so robust, and there's so much you can do with them. Do you have any good stories to share, or use cases, a way you've seen people use forms to send data over to Scythe?
Indeed, we've had a recent blogger had a form set up actually through Wufoo, and what they were trying to accomplish was, they were selling ebooks and advice, consulting, and had a form, for the inquiries, and they used a Wufoo-based form, wanted to track it in Cyfe alongside their Twitter account, their Twitter search, which was the thing you just showed on the screen, and their Facebook pages, and they were able to do so with an integration like we see on screen right here. So this is a perfect example.
So taking a step back, as far as Zapier is concerned, on the Zapier side of things, it is a way to connect two apps together. So we're basically saying anytime an event happens in one particular app, I want to send that data to another app. So specifically, if we're speaking about forms, we're saying anytime anyone fills out my form, I actually want to send that information over to my Cyfe dashboard. And there's one thing that we actually have to do in Cyfe before we can kind of get going on the Zapier side of things. And I'm sure Ben can speak to this a little more than I can, but what you're looking for here is when you go to add a widget on your Cyfe dashboard, if you're familiar with that, you're looking for this custom section here. And then within that custom section, there'll be a push API widget that you can add. And what you'll want to do is you'll want to configure that widget and do a couple of things. So you'll want to title it. Maybe your form has a specific name you want to keep tabs on, or just anything like that. And one thing I would love for you to kind of quickly cover, Ben, is the different types of charts that are available with this particular widget.
Yeah, of course. So we have when you do custom data like Zapier, we think it's the easiest way to bring in data. If you get a little bit more advanced, there's 5 ways to bring it in, whether it's a CSV, Google spreadsheet, private URL, this push API, which is how Zapier works, or to get really sophisticated, you can even do SQL databases as well. For the most part, there's 6-ish, 7-ish types of visualizations you can use for each. For Zapier, we can do 4 with the line chart, an area chart, a column chart, and a bar chart, just depending on how you want to visualize things. And naturally, this will track success and key performance hits, in this case, the form, over time as each person sends a form. So as we see on the screen here, there's the line chart is the default value, but you have other options to display it and visualize it.
Yeah, so this would be a great way to really see, especially in the beginning, but even more long tail, how the performance of a person. So, most times you'll have a form on a landing page or some way that you're wanting to gather data. And this is a great way to kind of see how that form is performing over time. So once you title the widget, choose the type of chart you want to display, you'll actually want to grab this API endpoint. And you'll want to copy that and then save the widget. And that's going to kind of get you going. Then when we come into Zapier, and again, what we're looking at here is we're saying, when I get a entry on something, so when I get new data in a specific app, here we're talking about Wufoo, so we're saying anytime anyone fills out my form, I'm going to send that data over to Scythe. And this is what we call a zap, so this is that one-to-one connection between those two apps. And once we get our Wufoo account connected to Zapier, which is a very, very simple process to do, we kind of scroll down through here and say, okay, what form do I want to look at? So I'm actually looking at, as an example here, the form that everyone filled out to attend today. So if you were doing a webinar like this, you could easily put this data on your dashboard and kind of see signups or form entries as they came in over time. So we're going to look at one form at a time. So each widget that you put on your dashboard will be a singular form. And then when I scroll down here to step 5, this is where we kind of get into the meat of everything. So this is where we're telling, Wufoo to send that data over to Cyfe. So what I do is I'm going to actually paste, and I've already got this set up, so there's already a value there. But I'm going to paste that API endpoint that I copied from my Cyfe dashboard here. And that's basically saying, okay, I'm going to match that Wufoo form up to that specific widget in Cyfe. And so that's how we can connect them together. And again, then automatically just constantly send that data over to the dashboard. And there's a couple of other things I'd love for you to speak about here, Ben, because I know they're really specific to Cyfe and the way that data is going to be calculated on your dashboard. So name, really simple. It's basically, how you're going to name that data on that widget. But if you could speak to this metric value here, the value type, and the value connotation, I think that would be awesome. So we can, make sure that we're getting the data, the right data that we want to.
Yep, in 99.9% of cases, everyone leave that metric value at 1. So you won't. What comes out there is the default. You'll want to keep the same. Color obviously is optional, and feature customization based on preference. And yeah, I mean the value type comes down to, in this case, number is probably a good indication for a form, but it could be something you're trying to track, whether it's a percentage or a currency, whether it's USD or any custom value, for instance. And that's really it. But in that one where we saw the 1, keep that at a 1 almost every instance for a Zapier and Cyfe connection. So
yeah, cool. So when we get all of this done and save it, because that's all there is to it, right? We've connected our Wufoo account. We've copied that URL from Cyfe. We've popped it in here. We've chosen the form we want to look at, and then the end goal of that, or I'm sorry, the end sort of outcome of that is this widget we see here. So this is a form that I'm looking at, and every time I get a new entry, this widget is going to update, so you can whatever you want to keep track of from that form, data-wise, it's going to populate here, so you can see signups over time, anything that you might want to look at on your Cyfe dashboard, which is so valuable. And I know Cyfe is one of a pretty special breed with Zapier, because Cyfe itself actually integrates with a ton of apps already. But if there's something that's missing that Scythe doesn't quite have, that would be where Zapier would come in. And these are all of the form options that we can work with. So everything you see here is a different type of form application that Zapier can connect with. So if Scythe doesn't quite have an integration with something yet, chances are that we will. So any of these form types you see here, you can set up in this particular example as well.
Yeah, it's what Allison just said is a really important thing. A lot of support tickets we get are people asking, "Do you connect with so and so web app?" And there's a brief frown on our face as we say, "No, we don't," and then a smile once we realize we don't, but we have a Zapier connection that allows you to do it easily without programming knowledge, without coding knowledge, and you do it in minutes, if not seconds. So. We're talking about 450 plus different apps you can connect in here. So, here's what we have on screen is Salesforce, which Allison will talk about in a second as well.
Yeah, so the setup of these apps are again, this one-to-one connection between Cyfe and whatever app you want to connect it to is identical. So no matter what you're doing, the setup is always going to be the same. You're going to want to go into Cyfe and click on Add Widget, and then go to the custom field and grab one of these push API widgets. So that's always going to be the same, and the Zap setup is going to be the same. So we'll just kind of touch on some other use cases here. And when we look at Salesforce, we're thinking about CRMs, right? Like, so the way that you collect contacts. And Ben, do you guys see a lot of people sort of pulling in contact metrics into Cyfe?
Oh, indeed. Common use case.
Anything in particular that you see there, or any stories or ideas you can share with folks?
Basically, well, we've seen people trying to get. We have a Salesforce widget, but it's got a lot of the basic overviews. So one of the common issues or support tickets we'll get is, hey, can your Salesforce measure this? And our Salesforce is configured to be easy to use, easy to build, and so it doesn't require or allow a lot of customization. So what we have on screen is something where in your Salesforce account, you could put into different qualifications, whether you want a highly qualified or medium qualified or low qualified lead, for instance, and you can use Zapier to provide a little bit more of a drill down for a CRM solution than we normally provide. And that's it. I saw Tiffany's question was answered already. We're just going to address that. But yeah, it's free, Tiffany.
Yeah, so with CRMs, I think one thing that a lot of people might want to do is actually see contacts or leads as they're created in numbers over time. So, maybe you get a daily or a monthly type of overview of how many leads you're creating. And this is a great way to just kind of keep tabs on that. And like Ben said, you can actually use Zapier to drill down a little bit, so you can filter on certain things. In step 4 here, you see that I'm going to set up a custom filter. So maybe I don't want to trigger on, and by trigger, I mean, send that data over to Cyfe. Maybe I don't want to send all of my leads over to Cyfe. Maybe there's just a couple, that I want to drill down to grab. And we can help you do that. You can just set that up here in step 4 and say, I only want these specific types of leads or contacts to send over to Cyfe. And then, like I said, the setup is exactly the same. You go in and you set up that push API widget in Cyfe, grab that URL, pop it in this box, you name it. We're going to, again, leave the metric value at 1, like Ben said. We can change the color on that so the graph is in a different fun color. And then once that's done, you can name it and save it, and you're good to go. And so anytime you get either any new lead or a specific lead, if you have filtered down to a specific thing, we can this will take care of that for you. And I know, like Ben said, they actually have, Cyfe has a Salesforce integration, but there are a ton of CRMs that Zapier also works with. So if you use maybe something you see here like Capsule or Contactually, Nutshell, Batchbook, there's tons of different CRMs here, all kinds of different great ones. You know, you can use that and kind of pull that into Cyfe and see how you're growing your contacts over time. So awesome stuff you can do here with that, and very, very simple and easy. And so Ben, the last thing that I want to talk about is like project management type stuff. And I know for a lot of people, myself included, this is actually a really important thing to keep tabs on. You know, how many tasks you're doing, or either you or teammates or however you want to organize that data as the days go on. So any tips or stories to share here about as far as like project management goes within Cyfe?
Nothing recent anecdote. I actually will point you guys on our homepage. We have a good project management dashboard that we like. It's the if you go to our webpage, Cyfe.com, scroll down, it's in the bottom middle where we kind of have an example of how someone set up, you know, collaboration, to-dos, a gauge to measure the project's completion, and other news. So while I don't have an anecdote for everyone, what we're about to see here is how you can, again, pull in highly customized or highly specific tools that everyone uses into an all-in-one dashboard, even if we natively don't support it, and to do so without programming. For example, out of here.
And I really like that idea, again, of setting up a separate dashboard for project management if you need it to be more visible to your whole team. Like someone like me might actually like having this data within my own dashboard. You know, that might be something that's important to me. I want to see how my time ebbs and flows as the days go on. Do I have more tasks on Wednesday than I would on a Friday? You know, anything like that that you can think of, how you would want to manage your time, the things that you're working on. This would be really, really helpful for that. And so again, like I said, anytime you set up one of these apps or one-to-one connections, the setup is going to be exactly the same. We're saying, you know, anytime I get to create a new task in Asana, I want to send that over to Cyfe so I can keep track of that. And very, very simple. Again, the only difference here, and again, every app has their own, you know, slightly different thing, but that's basically because we need to know what we're looking for, right? So with forms, we need to look for a specific form. With contacts or leads, maybe we're looking for a specific value there. With something like Asana or another project management tool, maybe there's a specific area of that app. So if you've got clients segmented in a certain way, you know, we can really sort of drill down there so you can really segment that data out. You're not looking at your entire Asana account. You'd just be looking at a specific project or a specific workspace or something like that. So when you set these up, every app is a little different, but as a user of that app, you know, it'll make total sense. You say, oh yes, that's I want to grab the information just from this one specific space. So once you kind of make those decisions, once again, setting it up into Cyfe is super simple. You just create that widget, grab that URL, paste it in here, name it, again, leave the value at 1, set the color that you want the graph to be, and then when that's all said and done, we have, I set this up as a bar chart, I believe, of tasks by day. And so I can see, again, the ebb and flow of that particular project or workspace or anything like that here within Cyfe. And just like all the other tools, again, we connect with so many different project management systems. I know that that Ben and Cyfe do as well, but like he said, if there's something that's missing that they don't have, chances are that we probably also have it over at Zapier. So Ben, I think that about does it for what we wanted to chat about. I've put my contact information up so everyone can see that. I know that I'm sure you've been asking lots of questions in the chat room, but this is how you can get in touch with not only me, that's my personal email address and Twitter handle. Contact@zapier.com actually goes to everyone on the Zapier team. Lindsay, who you're chatting with now, but we all take care of that particular inbox. So hit us up anytime if you've got any questions. And Ben, how can folks get in touch with y'all?
You can reach out to me at ben@Cyfe.com. Otherwise, our support team, which is support@Cyfe.com. as well. Pretty easy when we're pretty available and happy to help people set up their data. Like we talked about in this webinar, you know, almost if you can imagine it of something you want to track, whatever it is, whatever category of data it is, you can bring it in into Cyfe. Zapier makes it especially easy. Removes a lot of the programming required you might otherwise need for doing something highly custom.
Yeah, I know. Instead of setting up MySQL, I would much rather do something like this for sure.
Exactly.
And so that data will actually should update every 15 minutes or so. So you can go about your work, do whatever it is that you want to do. Once you set up these automations, they just need to be set up the once. And then you can go on about your day and everything will sort of go in the background. So anytime you go to your dashboard, whether that's just, you know, first thing in the morning or last thing at night, or even if you keep, I know that Scythe has an awesome feature where you can, you know, push your dashboard onto a TV. Maybe you keep tabs on it all day. Whatever it is, Zapier will constantly update your dashboard, whatever widgets you have set up through Zapier, and you can always, you know, rest assured that your data is up there and is running as close to real time as possible. So that's a fun thing to kind of keep tabs on. Before we go here, Ben, anything else you want to toss out there before we head out?
No, I think that you've covered it pretty well. I think the walkthrough that Allison gave is as simple as that. You know, it's going to custom section, push API, copying the URL, and going to Zapier to paste it there. It's as easy as that, and that's how simple we like to make things for these integrations. I'm just looking at the chat room here for some of the Q&A. Tiffany asked about the LinkedIn app for advertising. This is something they've recently started to roll out for third parties. So we're kind of at the front end of integrating into SUSE. It's available for third parties. And you know, as Allison, you got your team already responded to Film Barend here. Yes, it's every 5 to 15 minutes, depending on the plan as far as updates. But it automatically pushes new data, which is fantastic.
Yeah, so any depending on your Zapier plan, but it's either set to run every 15 minutes or every 5 minutes. And so what we'll do is any new data that's happened between the last time that we checked, we'll send. So if you've got if we go to our form example, if you've had 5 people fill out your Wufoo form in that 15-minute window, we will grab all 5 of those and send them over to Cyfe. So you never have to worry about missing any data. It's we're just going to grab everything that's brand new that's happened since the last time we checked and pop it right onto your dashboard. So hopefully a very seamless and painless process as far as keeping tabs on all your data. So we'll sign off here, but I won't speak for Ben, but I'll actually hang out in the chat room for as long as we need to answer any questions that you're having. Yeah, happy to do that. Ben, thank you so much for doing this. This is a lot of fun. I'm glad we got a chance to chat and help folks kind of check out how easy it is to keep all their data together in one spot.
Likewise, Allison, thanks for the opportunity. Glad everyone, thanks for everyone's time as well. And check both of us out to see how we can make your lives easier and more automated, more efficient.
Yep. Thanks, everyone. We'll chat soon. Bye-bye.